All right, so
You talk.
long time no see, guys. Good to see you all.
Hey, Derek.
You as well, Derek.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all of the support and so forth over the last couple months of the year there. I do appreciate it, everything that you guys have done. John and Steve really stepping in and filling the roles. A little rough going there for a bit, but we I got the agenda here that Steve did up.
Yeah, you should probably read the please be advised portion.
Yeah, true. Please be advised this open meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded by WRPS for playback at wrpsrockland.com/TV and youtube.com/WRPS I know they're streaming it live now as well on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
As far as things go, the meeting minutes, I
don't have any meeting minutes, so forgive me for that. It's been I work in healthcare and it's been pretty crazy the last couple of months.
I understand that.
Not had a moment to tackle those, and my apologies.
All right, so take a motion to pass over that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? By roll call vote.
Aye.
Tom Reagan is an aye. Charles Williams is an aye.
Yes,
John Hennessy is an aye. Steve O'Donnell.
Aye.
Aye.
Myself as well. Peter.
Aye.
All right, so that is unanimous. We'll move over to item number 2 on the agenda.
All right. Do we have Dave Taylor on? We do
Doesn't
not.
look like it.
Do we want to revisit this at the end and see if he joins?
We can do that because I saw that attached the email that came through right before had the application for that as well.
Yeah, we have the application. We can go over it if he doesn't join, but I'd like to make a motion that we table that until the end of the meeting or until Dave joins.
We'll second that.
All right, all in favor of tabling number 2, the Town Hall Memorial Park project info. Roll call vote. Thomas
Aye.
Reagan's an aye. Charles Williams is an aye. John
Aye.
Hennessy and Peter, both yes. Steve
Aye.
and myself, Derek, as well. Unanimous. On to 3. COVID-19 housing relief project cancellation.
All right. So for those of you that will remember, we had Copley Gardens come and present. We have a pre-application and an application, and we're going to have them in the February meeting to go over the full application and discuss whether or not we're going to approve it to go on the town warrant. But part of that, Jen Constable, the assistant town administrator, who had put in that request for those COVID-19 relief funds for housing back in 2020. They didn't end up using that. Some other funds from the state came out, and we do have a letter from her. Let's see if I can pull that up. Stand by. Let me get that. That's in my Gmail, actually.
You want me to bring them up, Steve? I can bring them up too.
Did I put it in here? Return of
Yep.
funds. Here it is.
It was in
I got
there.
it. I got it. So I'll read it for those of you that are on the phone. Dear committee members, the town of Rockland thanks you for the diligent work to ensure that the local Community Preservation Act funds are supporting eligible affordable housing, historic preservation, open space projects in Rockland in 2020. The Community Preservation Committee recommended the town meeting approved funding in the amount of $85,000 to implement the Rockland Housing Assistance Program to provide rental assistance to Rockland residents negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The town wishes to return this award for reallocation as a result of substantial aid made available to Rockland residents through state and federal resources, specifically for housing relief. The town was able to preserve its local funds. Again, the town thanks the Community Preservation Committee for its commitment to the residents of Rockland and support of town-sponsored projects to preserve affordable housing. Please do not hesitate to contact me should you have any questions. Thank you. Sincerely, Jennifer Constable, Assistant Town Administrator. So they'd like to return those funds. They're not going to use them. They would go back. I believe that came out of 100% out of the housing budget. And so that would go back into that fund to be reallocated. And the idea is that we could then use those funds to help fund the Copley Gardens project, which we'll again talk about in February. So I think all we need here is a motion to accept this and recommend for article at town meeting.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor from roll call vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Jack, Peter, John
Yeah.
Hennessy, Charles Williams, Derek Yule is an aye, and Steve O'Donnell.
Aye.
That covers it, unanimous, so we will bring that. I assume that with them returning it, that article will be written by Jen.
I'm thinking we'll probably have to write it, but I can ask her if she would write it.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
It's not a bad idea to use the people that are actually, familiar with it, know exactly what the number is and whatnot, just so we don't have to repeat it.
Fantastic.
All right.
I'll make a note of that, and I will respond to Jen later tonight, asking her to write up that warrant article.
Excellent.
Back to you.
So next item is a number 4, the town report submission.
Town report submission. So I got an email from Susan Ide, the executive assistant for the Board of Selectmen, asking that all committees really write a town report. I have our original report here from 2020. I started changing dates, and then I realized that's as far as I got. This was very geared toward the pandemic, and that year we didn't have any projects submitted. This is supposed to be in, I believe, by February 1st.
February 2nd, Wednesday.
February 2nd.
Yep.
We would need to write that and then have a vote to approve it for the warrant, right?
Yes. Yep.
So we can ask for an extension. I know they're not closing the warrant.
Well, this
until-
is the one for the town report.
Oh,
not
it's
the
not part
warrant
of the town
article.
meeting? Okay.
No, this is just strictly for the town report.
So we have two options. We can write it on the fly right now and submit it and vote on, approve and submit it, or we can pass it over, which she said not everyone does submit a town report. So I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts.
In the past, when we've done them, we essentially just give a brief update of where we're at, and then include our financials. And that's how we've, in the past few years doing these anyways. I think it's not a bad idea because it keeps transparency.
Sure.
But it will be something that has to basically be accepted by our committee because it's speaking on behalf of the committee.
Right.
So
we would-
we'd have to, plan a quick meeting, get something drawn up and, meet like a Tuesday night or something like that to meet this deadline. If we want to do something tonight, absolutely. Use the old one as a boilerplate.
This is what I got up right now as the.
You're
old
not
one.
sharing.
I'm
Yeah,
not
you're not
sharing? Oh my
No.
goodness.
No.
Here I thought I was sharing the whole time.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. Hold on.
You were talking very well like you were sharing, but I didn't.
Yeah. You gotta press the button.
There you go.
Hey, how about that?
Much
All right.
better.
So this is what was, again, I all I did on this one was change 2020 to 2021. And this was during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, that we submitted for last year's town report. Derek, I think you wrote this up when we approved it. It's pretty, you're right. It's pretty boilerplate. It doesn't have financials in it. So
No,
I don't
they
know
usually
that-
they send those in as attachments. This is just the report, but the accountant's
Does Biz
office.
do that? Yeah.
Yep, usually I have the accountant's office send over our, year-end report, more or less. And we just attach it to it and send it along. Because they do put that in the town report on a separate page.
Okay.
But that's an easy thing. And I mean, we changed the dates on here, the total number of projects that were approved at last year's town meeting, and what we did, we'll have to change that.
Mhm.
But I mean, aside from that, I mean, this, it's pretty much the same situation. It was a mirror of the year before, But yeah, if we wanna.
You want to include that we had bought that parcel of land, the McCarthy's farm.
Absolutely. That would be part of the, what projects have been done, and it probably wouldn't even hurt to say, to mention the Remembrance Park. People may be noticing things changing in town, the Remembrance Park, work being done on the rail trail for the signage and crosswalks.
Yep.
Certain things like that, the windows and so forth at the library, we probably do want to include the projects that have either finished or are underway.
Right.
So I don't see how would really put that together right now, unless you want to
Yeah.
share a live word screen, Steve.
Well, that's what I'm sharing right now is a lot, live. This is Word. We can write it up, and it could be, a bit boilerplate, just more like, the apps that we've received that are under consideration, right? Because right now we haven't approved any applications for this coming warrant, or we don't even mention what's on the docket now. We could just say, what was approved through last year, right?
Several pending projects
Yeah.
with pending applications.
I mean, let's ask this question. Would folks be able to meet Monday or Tuesday? We couldn't do Monday because we're not gonna have 48 business
48
right?
hours. Yep,
Right.
it'd have to be Tuesday.
Would have to be Tuesday night. What do you guys thoughts?
New Tuesday.
You can do Tuesday?
It'd probably legitimately be a 10-minute thing.
Yeah.
Share the screen, read it over, vote.
Yep. And vote, and that's it. That would be the only agenda item.
I can do it if it's before 7, so 6, maybe 6:30.
I'm good for that as well.
6?
I can do 6.
I can do 6.
I'm good with 6.
Or that's 5 there. So as long as us 5 can meet, others, I would love you there, but as long as we have a quorum, we could vote on it.
Yeah.
I just checked. I can do Tuesday at 6 as well.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, why don't we do that?
Schedule meeting Tuesday 6. All right, so I can put an agenda out, get it to the town clerk tomorrow. I'll email WRPS to get a Zoom link for the 6 on Tuesday. Vika, if you're listening in, do you have availability to do Tuesday at 6?
Pete, I think
Talking to
Pete
me?
said, yeah. Pete said he
I
could.
said yeah.
No,
No.
Vika,
No.
WRPS.
Benika, Chris.
Benika.
I think he was signing off because he left me
Okay,
with
yeah.
the
You left
stop
me with it,
recording
okay.
button.
Okay. So I'll ask him if we can do that and get that done. I guess the next question is, who wants to take it on?
I can whip it up. Not a problem. If you want to send me over any of the information on the projects that you may be aware of, how far along they are. Just throw
Okay.
them to me in an email.
Okay,
I'll zip it straight back to you, Steve, once I'm done. It'll only take me a couple minutes to really fly through it and type it up.
to fly through that. Okay.
And you know what? We'll have to reach out maybe to Biz and see what she has for our financials too, just to include them.
Yeah, I have a financials from,
Have you heard the
What,
news
2
about
months ago?
Biz?
no,
She's quitting.
oh, no,
And take a job in Holbrook.
Oh,
that's a big loss.
yeah. That's too
Yes, it is.
bad.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
a
yeah, I
bummer.
have financials from like 2 months ago, Derek, which I think should suffice.
Yeah, they should.
I
I mean,
There's a list of projects in our financials. So
All
I'll
right,
send
then,
that
yeah.
over to you.
yeah,
It
you know
just
what?
has
Just
to
hang,
be December.
excuse
What's
me?
it?
They only want to know what has happened up until December 31st.
Yeah, Yep.
So that would be perfect. It should put us in a good spot, you know. We don't have to
Yep.
actually give true financials, we just really list the projects.
yeah, I'll, if you just hang on to it, and when I ship you over the
Oh, just key them in, just bullet them?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
fine. You want to do that?
It'll
Yeah,
be
you type
simple.
up the boilerplate and I'll add the list. And then
Yeah.
I'll share it and we can all vote on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
All right, no, that's fair.
Fantastic.
All right, I'll just note that, Derek, too. All right,
All right.
write the
Um,
pros. And Steve to add
Okay,
project list.
let's see, agenda deficit.
Great. Back to the agenda. Warrant article prep. That's kind of a nice little dovetail.
Yep.
So we'll planning, you know, assuming we have projects in front of us and let's just for a moment assume that they all approve. We're gonna have to have our administrative warrant article, which is approves our administrative budget.
Yep.
Do we want to, well, I guess we'd have to do that in, we'd have to add that for February, but we, in the past, we had talked about increasing our administrative budget to pay for an actual secretary.
Yeah.
To be able to do the minutes for us and do, you know, help monitor their email, you know, send applications out to people who ask for them, that kind of thing. So something we could add for the February meeting to come up with a dollar amount. But I, you know, in the past, I think Derek's really taken it all on and wrote them all himself. And I, you know, that's not really fair. So I think we need to kind of spread this out and have maybe each of us take one article. And so you know, we have the administrative as one, assuming Copley Gardens, we approve that, that'll be 2. We have the Remembrance Park, Memorial Park that's on today's agenda would be another one. And then hopefully Jen will write the refund warrant article. Am I missing any, guys? You think of?
We just need the budgetary items one. That's
Mhm.
simple. That one's, you know, we get the closing dollar figure of the disbursement from this year.
Okay.
And we write one article that blankets all of them. You know, the 10%, 10%, 10%, 5% for administrative, or more for a part-timer, and then the rest for the general fund. It just breaks down whatever they give us as our disbursement, which was a very big disbursement this year.
Yeah.
With the surpluses and so forth, the percentage went through the roof. It was pretty fantastic. And are you guys actually getting those emails by any chance
No,
from Stuart?
no.
Stewart.
Yeah. I'm
I get
going to,
this, yeah, the general ones that they send out to everybody.
yeah.
I get
I don't-
that. A couple times I forwarded it to the CPC email.
Yeah, because I get the other ones, like the one that came in on the 20th.
I did not.
It basically talked about another $10 million in state budgetary surplus that was thrown into the Department of Revenue for the CPA trust there, the trust fund. But they're saying, you know, the original match would be basically 43.8%. So that's, I mean, on our end of it, it's like 200 grand. That's pretty impressive.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
that's just extra, right? That's not, I mean, we get whatever our residents paying.
Yeah.
The CPA.
Usually that's in the low fours. And then, yeah, so 43% of the, or 44, really, 44% of that.
Wow, that's great.
So
Amen.
that's pretty fantastic.
So
You know,
Derek, just so I have the notes right, disbursement, admin, Copley, and remembrance.
Disbursements, yep. The admin, Copley, remembrance, and I believe that's it at the moment, right? There's nothing
Yeah,
else.
oh, and the
outstanding.
refund.
And the refund, yes.
Make sure that
There's
gets
no,
done.
and have there been any other, you know, in my absence, have there been any other projects turned in or applications besides those?
I did turn in the.
Oh, the rail trail.
Trail to finish up the rail trail project.
Okay,
Right.
excellent. So that one will have to be written as well.
Do we still need to take a
Voted
vote on that?
We'd have to,
Asking.
we have to take a vote on all of them. Once they, you know, the project, once we get the application. So like the Remembrance Park, technically we have to vote on accepting that before we even bother writing an article for it.
No,
The same
I'm looking
thing-
at my notes. We did. We accepted that one because Charlie submitted
you?
the full app.
Oh, okay, great. Great. That's fantastic then. So the only one that would have to vote on would be Dave's that just came in today,
And Copley.
and Copley, which we won't know until February.
We're gonna bring them back in February.
All right, excellent.
What was this? But that was for our special meeting. The McCarthy, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so how do we want to split these up?
I can do the admin one or either that or the disbursement. Doesn't matter to me.
Why don't you do the disbursement one?
Yeah, I've done it in the past, so.
Yeah, I feel like you have a really good pulse on the numbers.
That was loud.
Jack, you're echoing.
Yeah, I'm almost on.
Oh, you are on.
It's on twice.
So all you need to do
I
is
am
click the
on?
unmute button. Yeah, so hang up your phone.
I'll hang up my phone, okay.
Good. And now you can hear us. Yeah? So there's a microphone button on your screen you want to click. Red mic, it'd be a red
Bottom
microphone.
left.
Next to
Bottom
your
left of
name.
the screen.
Looks like, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe we shouldn't have had him hung up yet.
Steve, I can try doing one of those warrants. If you can give me like an example of what one looks like. I don't care which one.
Yeah, we can shoot over one of the old copies.
Yeah. Charlie, do you want to do the rail trail?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. I just need to look at some boilerplate of what we did in the past. I mean, basically, it's a summary of what the project is, correct?
Yeah, there's certain language. What I'll do is I'll find an old warrant and get the text out on one of our basic projects and get that
I
out.
mean, we would have done it for the first part of the rail trail project. So
Yeah.
if we can get that warrant, we
Oh,
can just,
yeah.
I can copy that. And
Yeah, and then
update
just
it.
change the money thing, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And I know, I mean, those were all submitted, so they have a record of them anyways with the town, but I can look to see if I have any saved copies of those. Because then I can just shoot it over to you, Steve, and have you throw it out to everyone. You'll be able to
Okay.
keep a copy of it for yourself. I can do that in the morning. Just send me a reminder text message sometime whenever you get in the office, or if you're working from home, whenever you get up. I'll be in my office by about 5:30. So
Yikes.
every day.
Right, this and sample article.
Mhm. Yep, I'll
All right.
shoot one over to you in the morning.
Yeah, so I'm happy to do the admin. And I'll
Okay.
put some numbers that I feel are appropriate, and then we'll take that to the vote, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, because I know, and I believe we're allowed up to 5% for administrative budgets. I'm not sure if it's a secondary, like a general fund article that would be used for a part-timer or a position, because a lot of times the admin budget ends up going to, surveys, things like that.
Mhm.
I don't know if that would be included on it, or I'd have to look it up to see if
Yeah,
it was
we've
just,
used our admin budget for that stuff in the past.
yeah, to see if we would want to write an article requesting the funds from the general fund. If we take $5,000 to pay somebody for a year to be the secretary,
Mhm.
that cuts a quarter of our admin budget right out the window.
So should we do a separate article to?
And maybe a possibility.
Fund
Let me look it up tomorrow and see what the other towns have done.
Okay.
That actually pay, because I know that a long time ago, Stuart had something up on the site that was basically like a bunch of boilerplate stuff for people's town warrant articles and stuff like that. And one of them specifically dealt with, bringing an outside person in, a non-committee member person, to handle the paperwork and more of the bookkeeping kind of end of it. I'm sure we could find that on their site, the little tech tips there.
Right. And if it's more than 5%, so I know you just said 5%, if it's more than 5%, then that might be moot. If it's, a number, say, if it's 10%, then we probably don't even need to. We can vote internally to use that money.
Yeah.
10% would be plenty.
Yeah.
To fund that and additional work that may pop up.
It might be an issue where it's legitimately $200 or $300 a month, is what they've advocate paying somebody to take meeting notes. I don't know. And, you got to pay rate, there's certain things that have to be involved, so if somebody's doing 5 hours a week, between answering phones or, sending out, returning emails, things like that, it does have, I know there's a stipulations on it. You're basically a town employee at that point.
Yeah. And I did talk to the human resources person. I can't remember her name right now, over the summer, and kind of floated that we had talked about it and we had approved it. We just hadn't acted on it. And she said she'd be willing to help to try to fill that role for us.
Yep, that'd be great. Especially, if there's somebody that's already working part-time for the town, add, our payment for an extra 5 hours or 2 hours a week or whatever it may be.
Right. All right. So you're going to research how much we can allocate and to
Yeah.
admin and guidance for secretary.
Yep.
Independent secretary.
All right, so that seems like it sufficiently clears up the warrant articles. Perhaps we have somebody covering each thing.
Well,
And
so we still need Copley and
Copley, but that's even waiting on approval for the project. So
right,
Yeah.
right.
We can make that call once it comes up.
Okay.
I'm happy to help with any of that. So I sent you guys a couple of the old examples, but once we get those up and running, I can help with whatever we need to finish.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be pretty involved, the Copley Gardens one. It'll probably have a lot of information, and I'm assuming, you know, being an article like that where it is helping, you know, for housing, there's going to be, you know, there could be several attachments and pages to that, as well as just our written article.
Well, they sent us a book. But I don't know that we'll need to, if we just spell out the article for you weren't on the meeting, but what the pre-op was for that additional ADA units.
Yes, I remember when we originally discussed that, and I'd seen a couple of the emails come through about the, you know, updating it, making it accessible.
Right, and it was more targeted. The first time they approached us, it was very vague. And so we passed it over at the time, and it was an emergency, and we were talking about emergency articles at the time, so.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so should we move on to 6, invoice review?
Invoice review. So I put this on here. We talked about it last time. Tom's been very good, you know, approving everything that as they come in, I'm sending it over to him. He's going down and signing it.
Apparently approving too much.
Well, it's not on us. So, you know, the reason that Dave's coming back on the Remembrance Park is a river budget. And Biz caught that. And so I had a conversation with Doug Lapp to really, they asked the question, who is responsible for, you know, keeping an eye on that budget? And he assured us it wasn't us. He assured me it wasn't us. It's the project manager. So whoever submits the project request is, you know, is responsible for seeing the project through or canceling the project, and, you know, maintaining their budget and making sure that they're on budget, and, you know, approaching us before we go over budget. Once they have an idea that it may go over budget, they should be approaching us at that point, not when it already goes over budget. And so we added this, I added this here. It was on our last one too. I think it's a good idea for us to just keep this on here to kind of talk about any questions that Tom might have, or if, you know, anything that pops up that, you know, he kind of red flags internally, is, you know, hey, is this warranted? Is this right? But so Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I was just going to say, now that's been brought to my attention that we can certainly go over budget on these. I'm going to try, when I get invoices, well, the last few that I receive and the ones in the future, I'm going to try to do my own spreadsheet, you know, just a little bit of redundancy between me and the town accountant, you know, and if I think we're approaching something, hey, we're about to go over, I'll try to, you know, make it look like we're on ball and, you know, not caught unawares, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
With
so
those, excuse me.
do you guys want me to talk on that at all, or on that?
Oh, Dave. Well, we're gonna loop back to you. We passed over.
Okay.
You because you weren't
Yeah,
here.
that's fine.
We're
Sorry.
gonna loop back to you.
Yeah.
Now, with those, I mean, these are, and obviously the cost of everything has gone through the roof. So it's far exceeding. Generally, in the last few years, every project that came through, I threw 10% extra onto each warrant article.
Look,
We
I
might consider going more.
had a quick question about what Steve, you had posted the approval for the project. It said that it was approved for, I don't have it in front of me. It was approved for 20, but the whole project's going to be around, what's it say, 47 or something like that. So
We're gonna go back to that. Right now, we're just talking about invoices in general.
Okay.
We're gonna go back to that item before we can really dive into that.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna want to increase that percentage a little bit, maybe, of overage that we throw in there, just so we kind of know what we're getting into ahead of time, and we can break down the money a little bit. Because everything's off the charts right now. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Derek, but in essence, you know, whoever is submitting the bid should be, you know, making their bid based off of predicting what the project will cost and the timeline and getting the project done. So sure, they should put extra on that if needed. And I know we've done that with all our bids just to make sure. I mean, but even when we talked about that, we were talking about we'd get that money back because they probably wouldn't need it all. But I think it just goes back to the main point is that when someone submits a bid, they're responsible for doing that job within that bid. And we got to just make sure that from now on going forward, when we're doing bids, we're making sure that we're as much as we can, that entity that's doing the bid, it will be responsible for the job and getting the job done in the time and the cost that we allocated for it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, right across the board in my business specifically, we've had 110% increases just in material costs.
Yeah.
And it happens within a month, not, these ups and downs generally take several months to happen. When the huge steel increases happened, it happened over the course of, well, legitimately maybe 2.5 months, probably around 10 weeks. It went up 100%.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the past 2 years have been very strange, but each year is different and unpredictable and all that, so we just have to make sure the bids are accurate and people are responsible for them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So do we
So,
have any
yeah.
invoices to review, I guess?
No, I left this on from the previous month when we were going to review them, but we realized that we didn't actually need to go through each of them, or if anything had come up. I didn't happen to check. I did go to town hall earlier this week, but I forgot to check the CPA mailbox to see if we got any paper. Sometimes we get them in paper, but I know the town hall employees have been pretty good about scanning and sending those over. So I don't have anything new. As they come in, I'm forwarding them to Tom. But I think we leave it as an agenda item so that if something does come up and Tom wants to talk about something, it's there that we can
It's listed.
discuss.
Absolutely.
Um,
So we want to jump back to David's.
yeah, so motion to reopen item 2.
Yep.
Second,
All in favor, roll call.
Aye.
John, Tom, Derek is a yes. Peter,
Aye.
and Steve O'Donnell,
Aye.
and Charlie Williams. All right, I take that as an aye. And did Mr. Conway come back? Because I don't see him on the.
Oh,
he's
is he
there,
gone,
but his
John?
microphone's still muted.
Okay, yeah, I see him now. I had to flip down. So there's Jack as well. So it looks as that's unanimous as best I can tell. Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, unanimous.
All right.
Um,
So we will revisit the Town Hall Memorial Park project. And Dave Taylor is here to talk about this.
So I guess I'm gonna take full blame for it, but what happened is we were using actually the spreadsheet on another CPA project. We were using the ADA park. That's the spreadsheet we were doing our takeoff on. So we were working off of a 38.5 budget, not the 23.1. And then as we were submitting the bills, and keep in mind, all this was done in-house. We didn't sub any of this out. So we were essentially just paying for materials, and all the labor was done by the highway department up to the point that we're at right now. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm going to take the screw up for it because I was working off of a different spreadsheet from the whole time, and thinking I was under budget at the point. And then, the only change was the fencing that our building inspector was requiring, which I thought we could do, after the fact, but where we built up that back area, to level out that ground, we were literally doing that park on ADA specs because I was thinking we were doing the ADA park. So, I mean, like I said, I'm going to take full responsibility. We were doing that. And then because we would have came forth after we did the block. I mean, the block alone was $8,000 just to do the wall, just to the install of the wall. So, we very rarely are over budget. Besides the point that Derek made is that materials are through the roof right now. Everything is, all our materials that we're working with, even road projects, masonry projects, everything has doubled on us. Drainage project, piping has gone through the roof, everything has gone through the roof. So, but the reason why we did a lot of this in-house, or all of it to date, was because obviously we wanted to keep the budget down. So again, like I said, typically I don't make this type of mistake, but I was literally working off of a different spreadsheet, submitting off of that spreadsheet. And then all of a sudden somebody up in Elizabeth's accounting department picked it out. Well, no, you're doing the Remembrance Park. And at that point, I'm like, well, now where do we go from here? So that's essentially, what we were working off of. And at that point, it was already too late. We're where we were at this point. So we did stall it out. We have everything completely prepped. And I'm like, well, where do we go? Because typically on something like this, if we go override, we go into highway general funds. And honestly, we're about where this is right now too. We're running on fumes right now because, again, all our projects are, the materials are gone through the roof. So I mean, obviously I apologize. Usually I do a better job of obviously on any project, and this is a small project compared to our usual scope. So, but that's where we're at with that. So, I brought that up, and then we just didn't have another avenue of funding source. So when I brought that up, that's why we came back here for this. So, in future work or anything that we go through, obviously we would probably add, like Derek said, we normally will add a 10% contingency, but the way things are fluctuating right now, you're looking at 25% contingency moving forward to any other projects. So,
All right. So,
Yeah.
but Dave, for this project, I mean, this is over 100% over budget.
well, that's what I'm saying is I was working off of a different CPA spreadsheet. So when we got when we were doing the CPA projects, we have the CPA projects we were doing with Charlie, which is the
The rail
safety,
trail.
right? The safety rail trail crop. So I printed them all up. So when we're looking at the CPA projects, I'm looking at the CPA ADA project, park
Mhm.
project, and I'm thinking this is the CPA ADA park project. I didn't know it was actually called the Remembrance, because I actually didn't have that even in front of me. The Remembrance one wasn't something that we did. I think that went through the vets, if I'm correct, which is the project that we're actually working on. So when we were designing it, I was designing it as an ADA park. So if you look at it, it's set up as an ADA park. That's why we had to do it in 3 different levels, and the access from the main walkway out front is ADA compliant. So.
Okay. So what is the ADA project you're talking about, though?
So
That's
the
a
ADA
38,000.
project, once we went back and we looked at it, that is the one from 2 years ago down by Dunkin' Donuts.
Right to the side of Dunkin' Donuts.
That's correct. So,
Yep.
and I honestly, I didn't make the correlation between the two of them, because at one point that it didn't drop off, but we're still probably a year away from doing that project, because we're dealing with DCR. We're trying to get DCR funds. We're trying to put that under shared street funds. So it's a combination project. So honestly, I didn't even know that was, I wasn't even thinking about that one at the time. Honestly, when I'm seeing the spreadsheet, I'm looking, the ones I was working on was the one with Charlie, and I was thinking the ADA park project, and this was the ADA park project for me. So it's probably I'm a detriment to my own self, because we try to take on as much as we can do for the town to try to save some money. And then obviously, if you look at the projects, if I'm going by the 38.5, we're not far off of it. If you consider the fluctuation in materials, and then also the added expense of the fencing. So
by adding ADA components to the park, increase the cost as well as
Well,
material.
Well, not the cost, but see, we were using a different budget. So if you're looking at the spreadsheet that you have, So when you do the CPA spreadsheets, what we do is I'll reach out to accounting. I'll say, well, send me
Right.
over what I have for projects. And then I look at the projects, like I know what we had with the one I did with Charlie, was 120 something. And I saw the other one, the 88 Park, the 38. And I'm like, okay, those are the ones that we're working. So when we're deducting materials, we're working off a spreadsheet at our facility that we do in-house. And then we just literally send the invoices over. Oh, well, that's part of the CPA. So we have multiple folders. So say if we're doing, we have, CPA project, rail trail CPA project, ADA Park. Do you know what I mean? So those are the ones we were working off of.
Right, but when this was bid out, so when you submitted the project originally,
Right.
you know,
Well,
you
I
just
didn't,
submitted,
yeah. So I originally submitted the ADA Park, but I didn't submit,
you didn't submit this one?
yeah.
I mean,
what-
someone had to have gone through you for,
This, I think it was, if I remember,
numbers,
I
right?
think it was through veterans. I think the vets brought this up originally, and I think it was through Joe Reese. This is 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. I just put it in the chat. It looks like
oh, you
it's
got it there. Let me open it back up.
veterans.
Right.
I think it was the
No.
veterans, and was it even the historic? Weren't they involved in it as well?
They were, because there's a placard that was there from, the house they took down at Reed's, and we were going to incorporate that in. So, like I said, I think it's just a matter of like me taking on too much, and then when we got the spreadsheets, we were working off of, one of the spreadsheets wasn't the right one for us. I'm working off of I'm working off an ADA Park spreadsheet, and then the rail trail safety project. So, and then, if we're looking off of that, we're obviously look at our budget, we look at the top item, and we're like, okay, and then if we get into where we were going to do the masonry where it's subbed out for $8,400, we were going to do that in-house. So that's, that essentially, we just ran out of time. So it is something like, if we got into the project, we would just stall the project till next year, and then we would do it in-house. So if it had to be, so that's kind of where we're at. So, like I said, I'll take full responsibility. I literally was working off the wrong spreadsheet. If you're working off of that, we could have made it happen if we had to, so.
So Dave, is it fair to say that the outsourced masonry and the materials is what caused the over? We're still trying to figure out how, we have a project with a number on it.
Right.
And
Well, you're looking at,
yeah, you had a higher budgeted amount in your mind
Right.
that you were working off of, but
right.
that doesn't change what the project scope was, right?
No, the only thing that changed the product scope is once we started shooting grades, we had to make it ADA compliant coming from the front sidewalk of Town Hall. So what happened is we had to do different levels, but the granite is obviously our granite from other projects. So we didn't have to pay for that. The only big item that went up was the block wall on the backside of the project, because that was close to, if you're adding it was close to 8,000 for block. And then you're dealing with the drainage behind the block, crushed stone. So those were significant items. And again, those items have all gone up through the roof. But that's it. And then besides, the only other cost was the additional fencing, that he wanted to do fencing on that project as well, which we were originally going to use shrubs, which we have a grant for trees and shrubs. So, but then the building department said, you can't use the shrubs as a fence. You have to use a fence. You can put the shrubs in front of it. So that was that's an upcharge of $5,000 as well. So.
All right. So I mean, now it's starting to become a little bit more clear if we outsource masonry, which you would have done in-house had you had the right number.
Correct.
The building department changed to add fencing, which was an unanticipated cost.
Right.
And then, material overruns. I mean, just between the masonry and the fencing, I mean, that's 13.4 right there.
Correct. Right. So, I mean, like I said, the fencing, we obviously can't do. The masonry we can do. We have, we have adequate amount of guys, myself included. I mean, the granite steps, that's the only thing we bought from Swenson Granite. All the wall stone that we have up there, the granite is all everything that we keep up at the recycle center and we use for materials. And we thought it would be a great project for that, you know, because that's stuff all from Union Street. So, I mean, that's essentially where we're at. Like I said, we could, you know, we just ran out of time with the masonry, you know what I mean? I mean, essentially that's been myself and a couple guys doing the, you know, the masonry work up there to date. And then, you know, and that's honestly, we got to that point, and then that's where we realized, you know, Elizabeth came back, well, that's not the spreadsheet. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not the spreadsheet? This is our spreadsheet, because I sent her where we were on our spreadsheet, because we do compatibles at the end of the year. And then I'm like, well, now what do I do at that point? So.
All right. My final question, and I'll let others chime in, is, so the deficit of the project is 25,832.67 cents. The town is willing to pick up 5,832.67. The request is for 20, an additional 20 from us. Will that complete the project?
That's correct. Yes.
And when would the project be completed, Dave?
Well, I'm waiting. That's why I'm here. I can get somebody in, you know, as long as the weather, I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen this weekend, but as long as the weather's clear, you can see we set up the heat blankets on it. It's all prepped to this point, and then literally all the materials are paid for. So it's just a matter of putting the brick down. It's just the masonry and then the fencing. So, you know,
Right.
keep in mind this, you know, if this project was completely subbed out, it's a $100,000 project all day. So as well. So like I said, we've been up there with our crews doing it, and they've done a great job up to this point. So.
So even if we approve this tonight, though, it's still got to go to town meeting.
Yeah, you're not going to get this money for a while.
Right. So we have
July.
we'll be working off of free cash until this comes in, and then we'll have to equate it if it's approved at town meeting. If that's, then it will have to, if not, then it will have to go over, and then we'll have to pull it out of free cash.
Yeah, so my conversation with Doug about this, it's funny. It's the article that I got to question why we needed a $50,000 capital fund unallocated to anything. It seems a little weird to me, but this is why he has it, is for project overruns or unexpected expenses. And so I think the idea is that he would use that fund to fund it. That's where the 5,832 is coming out of.
That's correct.
And then we would essentially pay 20,000 back.
That's correct. So 3 years ago, when I came on, when I started my second term, well, even before Doug came in, we had Alan in there. And what I did, he's like, well, what do you need to do with miscellaneous projects? You know what I mean? Throughout town. And I said, we'll come up with a number. And that's what he allocated. And that essentially became that item right there, town hall projects, which they put in every year. And that does help us with like any miscellaneous open space projects. Like we did that, like on Market Street where Lou's Auto Body is. One year we did that little mini park, and then, you know, we added that park to the right side of town hall. So those were projects that were paid by that before the CPA ended up, you know, becoming about. So, and then that's where we would use, you know, if there was an override in something like this on a project, a town project, that's where, you know, that would be another funding source for us. So. Like I said, the trees and the shrubs, I had another grant for. So we use that. We do a tree and shrub grant, you know, through town, like replacement. So the shrubbery on this project is coming out of that. So that's not coming out of CPA funds at all. So that saves us, you know, relatively 2,000 to 3,000 there too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the board?
No,
I
like-
think it pretty much covers it.
The only comment I got is like Dave said, if this was subbed out, it would be 100,000 easy.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
possible,
that-
but it also might be done. So I mean, there's a yin
Right.
and yang to that, right?
That's correct too. So like if we're subbing it out, you know, I think on the upside of this, what I would do is, you know, any future projects that we're putting into, like Derek referred to, obviously you want to add a higher contingency on the materials and labor. Like even if I'm looking at that park down the street, even with that number that I had on that, there's no way you'd be on that minimally $100,000 on that the park at Dunkin' Donuts now. And that's just lowballing it right now, you know? So, I mean, like I said, I'm looking for different avenues on that as far as DCR funding. And also we have a grant for shared streets, but we're still working out the easements over there as well, because there's 3 different property owners that we're dealing with. So,
Yeah.
but that would be a great project, but that's a project that would be triple from what I originally thought, you know, the design on it and everything. So,
Now with this project here with the Remembrance Park, I mean, you know, we accept everything is acceptable. The fact that, you know, it runs over this and that, nothing we can do about it. In the end of it, I'm looking at it as, you know what, we probably have a better product than what we would have if we had gone with a lower budget and kind of skimped by, and, you know, the final product, you know, obviously it's more expensive, but I believe it'd probably be a higher quality product.
yeah, you couldn't, I mean, did I look at that original budget on this now? I'm like, I don't know even how, because like I said, that wall that we put in, just the materials were, you know, 8, and that's not including the drainage materials behind it. So
Yep.
you're upwards, I mean, the stone was 2,000 alone. I mean, you're at 10 grand just to do the wall, to level it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, or you would have just did like a little, you would added some steps and maybe did a walkover from there, but it wouldn't have been ADA compliant either. And, you know, half
Yep.
the vets are using either walkers or wheelchairs that I know. So that's why, I mean, honestly, like I said, I take full responsibility. I'm not used to going over budget. And like I said, on the, you know, something like this is not a small project, but it's not by a project by what we're normally doing either. You know what I mean? We're used to doing, you know, Union Street's $1 million plus, and we're under budget on that. So I get into a project like this, it kind of puts my ego in check, to say the least. So,
No, understandable.
yeah.
It should be
At least
noted that
for me,
this is gonna
Dave,
be-
you know, it's not an attack on you or the highway department or anything like that. You know, for me, it's just you have your current job and your responsibilities and your projects that you're doing a great job for the town to try to get done. And this is extra on top of that, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, these are the things that can happen because, you know, your other projects that take precedence, you know. So,
That's
I mean,
correct.
for
And I
me, it's
think-
just more if we do have other bids of, even if it is maybe a little more expensive, if they're dedicated to the project and they have overruns, they're on the hook for it. Where here, we're a town, we're working together, we're all kind of on the hook to get this one done, you know?
Right, I gotcha. And honestly, I know we talked about that as a department over here and also with town hall. I said we would probably, I mean, these are just a couple of the projects, just put that in perspective, not even including our road projects. So we do, you know, obviously we do work on other buildings, you know, all the time, McKinley Library, you know, otherwhere, you know, so we would probably have to, you know, take it back a notch to say a little bit, you know, and maybe just a lot, because most of these projects we're doing in the fall. So we're trying to squeeze them in when we're ending our other projects and then before we get into winter. So, so we
Right.
would
And
probably,
then it rains all of the summer and
yeah,
then you're behind on everything, you know?
yeah. I mean, Charlie would tell you, I mean, we've been working on that rail trail safety project and literally it's all plumbed out, ready to go. We're waiting for the appliances to put on it, you know, to finish it up, you know, so, and that's a great project, you know, and we obviously, we saved a ton of money on that. So, but, you know, again, we're using our resources where, you know, but, you know, as a taxpayer, I look at it as a taxpayer too. If I'm subbing that out, I literally just doubled what I would have done for the install. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like a catch-22. So we would have to, doesn't look like there's anything major coming up down the line for CPA projects that we're involved in right now. So,
And I'll
Yeah,
just,
sure,
I'll
Diego.
just echo Dave's points on that. I mean, we looked at it, you know, getting it, when we priced it out, we looked at pricing it out through Bell and the other traffic signal company directly, and hands down, it was better for us, the town, to have Dave do a lot of that work for us. And it wasn't even something I considered, and you know, thankfully he had mentioned it, and I wouldn't look at another CPA project like that without consulting Dave.
Understandable.
Yeah, the town is a corporation, so, John, to your point, and the town is the corporation that is on the hook for this. And with that said, it will be funded regardless. It has to be, the town has to make it right. We can't just leave it how it is. So really we're making the decision to use CPA funds to cover the majority of the overage versus the town using funds outside of CPA to fund the overage. The overage is going to get funded. I mean, that's not a question on the table. It's really, we're deciding where is the funding coming from. And I think it does make sense for it to come out of CPA. We have the money to do it. I'd rather leave that money for other uses within the town.
All right, so with that being said, Steve, why don't we put it to a vote to either approve or decline the application that Dave put in earlier?
Yeah, I am moved to approve $20,000 to be funded. I'm not sure, actually, Tom, before I do that, do we know where our balances are? Should we take it out of recreation? Open space recreation?
I just have the spreadsheet I have in front of me is just the approved amounts for the projects.
Doesn't show us our funds.
I mean,
My only
I-
thought
I
is that
could-
taking it out of whatever it came out of the first time around, which if this is really historical or recreation or what it was,
Came out of historic the first time, I believe it was the historical fund.
which came out as
Is that
circle.
correct?
So
Is that
the application is not written that way. It's open space recreation. It's not checked as historical. I don't
Well,
know.
we can
Can we
I
make the
didn't think it was
decision?
historical.
Yes, we can make the decision because we've done that before in the past when somebody's applied for something under one moniker and we've changed it to general fund. I personally, with something like this, I wouldn't mind hearing it taken from the general fund, from the reserve. Because it does touch a couple different funds, recreation, outdoor, open space, but it's also a historical context. You throw it into the general reserve fund instead of wiping out a good portion of somebody else's fund that could be used for something down the road. Take it from the general open reserve and just cover it, chalk it up to a multi-use project type of thing.
Yeah. See, I'm on the other side of that, Derek. It's, to me, the open reserve is our leeway. We can
It
do
is.
anything with that. If we have funds already allocated to a certain area that are available, we should pull it out of those funds because they're earmarked, right?
Yeah,
That's
they
kind of my
have
thought
to
on
be
it.
used for it.
Right.
I'm just thinking along the lines of, if that's the case, I would probably put it under the original header, which I believe was historical preservation. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the original article was written for historical because I think they were a co-sponsor with the veterans.
There was, George.
Yeah, I believe it was. Yep. Let me
I mean,
see.
and that's probably fine for this year since we don't have any historical projects, right?
No new ones, no.
Go back to this.
Yeah, it was I'm looking at the sheet now. It was the historical commission.
Do you need me to revise that funding app?
I think you have to
No,
rescan it in anyway, Dave, right? 'Cause you
Yeah,
only got page one.
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea to do it, but as for all intents and purposes for the board tonight,
Yeah.
we can make that a note. If Stephen, if you could put it in your notes that we approved amended application for withdrawal of $20,000 from the historical preservation earmark account, for the budget coverage of the Remembrance Park. You know, something like that would be the motion.
Getting that down, historical fund to cover. And before I make the motion, Dave, I know Sue only sent the page one, so she's gonna send that again, rescan it again anyway. So-
Yeah, I can either drop that off, or we're having an issue with some tech over here.
Yeah, drop it in my mailbox then. Just make the
Yep.
correction, check historical, drop it in my mail, in the CPA mailbox,
All right.
and I'll grab it sometime in the near future. But all right, let me give this a pass.
I think that we have right now, before tax receipts for third quarter that are coming in now, that we overall have an extra 164K. So
In historical,
no, the entire CPA. I'm not sure how much it's in historical, because I didn't think this was historical. I have to go look.
yeah,
But
the original, so we confirmed the original was paid out of historical funds.
yeah. But like, I know that we didn't have any new historical ones after the Tramp House. So nothing in 2021 was attributed, at least not from the Historic Commission. I don't know if anything else was,
The
assigned.
GAR, right?
The GAR, 2 projects for the GAR.
Right,
The
the lighting,
ceiling
the lighting and the
electrical.
ceiling.
Yep.
You're right.
I'm just
those are the
going back to last year just to see if we have the, and I have it here, for CPA articles. Let me see. Articles list with funding sources. That's for shit. That's
GAR
2020.
hallway, ceilings was almost 30K, and the electrical was about 6,400.
Yeah. That's itemized. I'm trying to find that date. It would have been probably February, right? When we would have submitted those February, March.
I'm trying to remember if they were all approved the same time as the Tramp House, which would have been right at the beginning.
Tramp House was right at the beginning. It was before I arrived.
Yeah, the Tramp
part
House
of
was in the
the
first
GAR.
year.
Yeah.
That was in the first year. The other stuff was all last year.
Okay.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Sorry, 2020.
2020, right.
Yep. Let me, I have it right here, actually. CPA articles listed with funding sources for 2020. The Remembrance Park with the plaque, Rockland Historical Commission. Yep. So definitely, I think at the very least, we can, like I said, a motion put forth to and accept an amended application with the funds being withdrawn in the sum of $20,000 from the historic preservation fund account to
Cover
cover.
project deficit.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Motion to amend the Remembrance Park application for an additional $20,000 out of the historical CPA fund to cover a project deficit.
Second,
All in favor as a roll call? Derek Yule in favor.
Tom Reagan in favor.
John Hennessy in favor.
Steve O'Donnell in favor.
Charlie
Yule
Williams
in
in favor. All right, Peter, sorry.
Yeah, I got Pete.
You got me?
Yep.
Me, Derek.
Yep, Charlie
Jack?
and Jack.
Jack, I'm in favor.
Good.
All right, so it's unanimous that we will approve this. We will write the warrant and warrant article anyways, and get it to town meeting.
All right, much
Fantastic.
appreciated.
Sounds
guys.
good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, just a quick question too, moving forward on like the project. So I know, so we send our spreadsheet over to accounting, just to amend all the billing. Who pays the bills from, is it from CPA or is it out of our accounting department and they take it
The
out of?
accounting department.
So
I
they,
have to submit an invoice transmittal with the
Okay.
invoice and sign off on it, and then they cut the check and sign and check and mail it
all
out.
right, okay, just so I'm moving forward, so I can balance like when we're looking at a project, we can balance our spreadsheets moving forward, because that's what we do on a lot of our bigger projects as we're going along, just to make sure invoices are coming off and they're not, we submit them, but just to make sure they actually were procured out and paid, so we could balance our sheet. So,
If you could copy anything you're submitting, I'd be happy to be like a backup to look over it.
well, that's what I'm saying. So if it, like, moving forward, when we're submitting, so what we do is when we have a folder, when the invoices come in, and then we've been sending them up to town hall. So what I would probably do is I would make copies of them and put them in, I'm assuming you have a mailbox up at the town hall.
Yeah,
So that's what
right.
we copy that, so we could just, so I'm not getting lost in translation. That's my fear. Like if a bill's not getting paid and all of a sudden, we're at the end of a project and all of a sudden, oh, we got this invoice, so, just, that's what we normally do with the accounting department. So I just don't want to, get into that, like on that, because I do know we have Charlie's going right now too. So I'm going to look into that, and I know we were under on that, but I just want to make sure, because I know a lot of those devices did go up, but we already have contracts for those. So we'll be all right there. So, all right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you,
All right.
David.
Thanks,
All
Dave.
right.
All right, so back to the order of our agenda. 7 was the ongoing projects.
Yep.
So I know obviously we are waiting for fixtures for the rail trail. The memorial thing is on hold until we can get everything approved or whatnot, or actually it will start back up and we'll just be repaying it. So any other information from anybody that was involved, historic or Parks and Rec?
I took a walk today, Derek, with Doug, Jan, Donald Kahn from Conservation, Mike, and Dave up
Good.
at McCarthy Farms today. It's pretty cool up there. I haven't been up there in about 15 years, but there's a big old barn up there. We don't know if it can be saved or not. There's 2 or 3 other sheds that are up there. It's all under town jurisdiction now and the contents thereof. It's a nice area up there. It looks worse in the front at Beach Hill. It opens up a little bit going in there. There is even I think it's an old fire road up there, because it's cleared down, beat down pretty good. There's a small pond up there, spring-fed pond. In 2 or 3 of the buildings that were up there was pumps, and there is electrical in these buildings. So obviously they were feeding out of that pond. It's a spring-fed pond. They were feeding out of that for the animals and the gardens that were up there.
Irrigation,
So
yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there. That was pretty cool up there. Our biggest issue right now, and Doug's checking on a few things, is getting access to it. Like if we can get a right of way to Hastings, or I know the neighbor to the right, if you're looking at the parcel, she said we could go up through the side of her yard just to bring some machinery up there. Like there's a tractor trailer up there that we own as well. So and again, me and Dave in-house, so we can help just getting rid of stuff. But it was pretty cool up there. It was a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That area back there, I've gone down the power lines that go off the backside of that.
Yeah, they run right
property.
here. Look
Yep,
up that
the
one.
old they're wooden pole power lines. It's an old unused section. Then there's a new section that runs. Yep. And it's because that cuts right across that Alice Charlton off of the back of Candlewick. We built a trail that comes out on the other side of that, the Alice Charlton. Yeah, actually, right where your cursor is.
Just in here,
That
maybe?
connects to Beach Hill.
Nice.
Yeah, it was actually, there was a section in there, or it was called a brick house or something. But I learned a lot up there today with Donald Kahn and the rest of them. But it's pretty cool up there. We just got to get access to it now. Other than, right, the first step we're going to take is widening that little area we've got. We can widen it about 20 feet before we get into any kind of wetlands. Right now, we get like 5 cars parked here, which isn't a lot, but if we can widen it a little bit. And I know Mike from Conservation was going to go to the powers to be in the state to see if we can move even further over to get some additional parking. But it's all, just in the talks right now.
And that's where
Yeah,
that little
right.
pullout was, where it used to kind of be a little dumping area.
Yeah,
Right
it
there.
still is. That's the first
Yeah,
thing
that's
we're
it
going to
right there.
We're going to hoe out some of the piles of mysteriously dumped piles of leaves and loam and process that area. We can't pave it, but we can process it.
Yep.
And then go from there.
Excellent.
That's great.
That's a fantastic. I mean, that was a huge win for the town.
Oh, yeah.
Both saving it as open spaces, but also relieving it of what could have been deemed a pretty big burden on infrastructure for the town, adding
Well,
several
I
units.
brought question of why can't we, because someone had mentioned, I believe it was Doug, that the lady was obviously tickled pink that lives up there, that the town bought it and not, it wasn't bought with condos going to be built up there or whatever. I said, can't we get permission from her on an easement? But she has easement rights through Hastings, so we've got to see him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's step by step. It's now that it's protected, it's not going anywhere.
Yep.
We can kind of ease into it, and this might be down the road. This might be an incredible, open space section that we can, really develop into a nice, park. We're the only one on the South Shore, the only town that doesn't have some kind of either a state park or a very large open space. We have Hartsuff, which is getting bigger. This is another feather in the cap. This is a nice one. Very nice project.
Yeah, I mean, the especially the bigger barn that's out there. In 2 of the sheds, they're all solid. They were high and dry inside. Tom Rubel was at the meeting as well, and he said structure-wise, they didn't look too bad at all. They were dry inside, put it that way. But I mean, the old wood that was used to build these things, I mean, they're not going to blow down by any means. I'm hoping we can save some of it.
Yeah. That'd be pretty. I mean, you think of that, and a long-term type of thing. Boy Scouts meetings in the barn at McCarthy Farm. Something.
Yeah.
I already threw it out there about the Boy Scouts, the 2 troops in town out to help out, just clear some of the brush, get rid of some of the debris with us.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. You keep it rustic, keep it what it is, or do you develop it a little more like what Wildlands Trust did down on Long Pond Road down in Plymouth? They have an incredible property down there where they kind of did almost like a resto mod of original mill building and stuff like that, with updated materials. But it looks incredible, and they do the same thing, functions and different things that they host down there. But it looks fantastic. I mean, I think it's another win, guys. That's a good one.
So Pete, do you think that the big barn can be saved and that we could use that down the road for some other purpose? Like
Let's open, myself and Donald Kahn were even saying, even a couple of small sheds, even to put some small miscellaneous tools, rake and rakes and weed whacker or whatever, just to kind of help maintain the area up there. I mean, they were solid, especially the barn. I was like a kid in a candy store. I went right upstairs before they were still walking in the woods, and I'm barging through the doors and running up into the attic, and it was solid, So I'm hoping we can reuse them. I mentioned about, I'd love to see some kind of small bathrooms or something out there, but that's when they started saying slow down and maybe porta potty or something. But even at that, we'd have to have a right of way for the honey wagon to come up and empty it. So it's going to be baby steps, but it's all positive.
Excellent. Good news.
Yep. Absolutely. Is there any other info on any outstanding projects at the moment? I think that one is a no.
I don't have any.
The tramp house is on hold until the spring. I was talking with Jim Paul about the GAR. They said he found some place to get lighting for the GAR, but they want to redo part of the plaster job, which wasn't done very well. At no extra cost, but it has to be fixed before they can do the lighting.
Okay. Fantastic. I look forward to seeing that in the stroll next year.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe they'll let us have it upstairs. That'd be nice.
that'd be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
And I'm still working with my craftsman from Maine. So hopefully we'll see some progress on that soon.
Excellent.
You
Excellent.
feeling better?
Yeah.
He is feeling better. He does have to have surgery, but it's to remove something that was benign, I guess. So he's not that concerned about it. He just wanted to, he would have cut it off with a knife and put some rust on it. He has to go to the hospital now to have that taken care of professionally. But yeah, it was a positive. My last conversation with him was was positive health wise.
Excellent. Anyone else to comment? All right, so then we move on to number 8. So other topics not anticipated. I can't say that it's not anticipated, but as I've talked to Stephen and so forth, this will more than likely be my last go round as chairman of CPA. I will remain on the board. I have a letter partially written, basically resigning the role of chairman. It's been a part of almost 7 years now, of putting a lot of time and effort into it, along with Pete and Joe and several others, to get it up and running, get it on the ballot, get it voted in and start it up. And it was always the thought that, get it going, get everything running, kind of step away and still be a part of it, but not really holding on to a bunch of the the reins, so to speak. And I think it's looking at what we have in the group that we have here, I think that time's probably better now than ever. Myself personally, a lot's changed. A lot obviously has gone on in the last couple of months on the family front. But looking forward, everybody's, life changes, grows, interests, this, that, and the other thing. But still remaining as a member of the board. I was voted in or appointed as a member at large. Like to retain that. But I definitely think it's time to pass the chair to somebody else. I believe we'll probably hold off on the voting of officers for a little bit until everything's kind of weeded out. But just so you guys know, I will put my my official letter in to the Board of Selectmen and to Town Hall, and then in turn to this board to rescind from the chair. And I would like to thank everybody, for everything that you guys have done, especially over the last few months. November and December were pretty hectic, and there's still a lot of work to do on this side of it. Getting everything and rectifying the family estate and so forth. So, but aside from that, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be a part of it. Still going to be, doing our thing, just like we always have. But I definitely think somebody else gets a shot at the helm, in the chair.
So you should hurry up and put in your proposal for a driving range down McCarthy before you leave, right?
I was actually thinking more along the lines of the purchase of the farm next to Eston, because we can put 36 out there without a problem.
Now
No,
it's
no,
still used for disc golf, Derek.
absolutely. Absolutely. The only thing is you got to throw from green to tee so you don't damage the greens.
That's fair.
Mistake they make when they put it at Rockland Golf Course is they throw towards the greens, and inevitably.
Yeah, that's why they don't answer our emails.
Yep, the last one was kind of a mess. But no, I mean, in all honesty, like I said, it's it's kind of been a while coming. I mentioned it first, back in the early fall, late summer, that I was thinking about it. It was on my mind. So I'll make the formal letter. It's already basically written. I have a few things to throw in there before I send it out and so forth. So when you guys so feel fit, after this next meeting, I think February would probably be the last one. Something around then.
You'll chair
discuss
the February meeting? Not that, I mean, obviously the one that's on Tuesday, but.
the one on Tuesday, yes. The one coming up at the end of February. I think by then I'll already have my letter in. So I think it would, without the appointment or the voting of another officer, John would do what he's been doing and step up as the chair until a vote can be had.
Yeah, makes sense. So I guess we should ask the rest of the board, should we put that on the late February meeting?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Is everybody good with that?
No, but
I was gonna
I don't
say
think we have a
no,
choice.
but I mean,
Not with my resignation, with pulling another person into this. I think since Joe's not here, we just make Joe. That's it.
He deserves it.
We can vote, and it can be Joe. But yeah, again, thanks. Thanks for doing this one. It's pretty cool.
No, Derek, it was fun starting the whole thing over on Butternut Lane, just the talks.
Yeah.
And you did awesome. And if you miss a meeting, you could be chairman again. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's a little easier if I kind of just have to, show up, take some notes, maybe work on some projects off to the side. But and it's not that it entails a million hours. It's more the line of responsibility. That's a little bit, some of the random emails, the phone calls, I get phone calls on my cell phone that I don't know where these people got my cell phone number from, but random phone calls, somebody asking about, why is this happening? And it's not, that's a rumor you heard. CPA has nothing to do with it. Those I don't need.
Quiet. I get it,
Yeah.
But
And going forward, with this spring's probably going to be pretty nutso. Taking care of a lot of things. So At this time, it's like I said, 7 years. We started in 2015. Made a run to get it on the ballot in 2016. And so it's been quite a while. Goes by quick. Goes by real quick. It's nice to see some of the projects done though. That's a good thing. Especially that McCarthy farm, getting that purchase was huge. That was a pretty good thing to be involved with town wise.
All of it
Especially,
was.
having a line from CPA for that was pretty special. That's something that outlives the rest of us,
Yeah.
Some of these things, buildings burn down, roads replaced, parks get, redone, but giant lot of open space will be there for a long time. So if there is nothing further to discuss, any other topics that weren't agended, if that's it, then I think we're good. We've got some assignments to get done. We'll be meeting again on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Okay,
Hearing a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second
Second.
it.
In a second. Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 Peter, I.
That is unanimous, guys. We'll see you Tuesday night.
All right.
6
Good
o'clock.
night, gentlemen.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Good
All
night.
right, guys. Thank you.
The recording has stopped.